Angry Joe, you got Little Joe, you got Alex. They're great guys. They're really cool, but something Joe said on his movie review for Free Guy kind of pissed me off, and I hope he sees this. What's going on, everyone? Welcome to a new episode of Mostly Wrong Opinions. I am Tyrone. That gentleman right there is Devin.
What's going on, Tyrone?
I'm having a bad time right now, man.
Why is that?
You got my Kobe coin, bro. I want it back.
Have your what?
What you scratching your head with, man?
Oh, this?
Yeah, we got to do our Kobe coin, man. I need it back. So give it.
Fine, you big baby.
Wah, wah. Thank you.
Cool.
What we got on the chopping block today for our Kobe coin is Looper, starring Joseph Gordon-Levitt.
Looper 8.
And then, makes sense. Number 24, we got Collateral.
Awesome. One of my favorite
starring
films.
Tom Cruise, Jamie Foxx, and Jada Pinkett Smith. All right. So, we're about to flip for it right now. Let's go. And the movie that we are about to review right now for our Kobe coin is Looper.
So why don't you do what old men do and die?
Why don't you just take your little gun out between your legs and do it, boy?
I enjoyed this movie, and it's with Bruce Willis. It's with Joseph Gordon-Levitt, one of my favorite actors. Okay, you know what that is, people. This movie is it does time travel a little bit different than some other movies because one, time travel is illegal in this film.
Well, in the story, time travel is illegal. But one of the things that I liked about how they did time travel is it's a little bit kind of like, it kind of reminded me a little bit of the Avengers, where they really don't explain it. And we talked about this on a previous video where I'm like, there's a character who's like, actually Joseph Gordon-Levitt's character. He's like, oh, if I hurt me, I hurt you. So if something happens in my timeline, does it happen in your time? And Bruce Willis is like, shut up. No one cares, right?
Do you know what's gonna happen? You done all this already? As me?
I don't want to talk about time travel shit. Because if we start talking about it, then we're going to be here all day talking about it, making diagrams with straws. It doesn't matter.
When I hurt myself, it changes your body. So is what I do now change your memory?
It doesn't matter!
It's wildly irrelevant for the story. That's really what the writer's saying. And it's wildly irrelevant for you and for me. No one cares. And I really, really, really like that because it's not important. We want to care about the story, which this movie does very, very well.
Yeah. And when Ryan wrote this thing, and he wrote like the beginning monologue that Joseph Gordon-Levitt's character is saying, everything you need to know is what he's saying right then and there. And it's not slowing down the action. It's not slowing down what he's doing when it comes to, he is a loop, kind of a loop closer. And these big mob bosses hire them in the past to be able to take care of their trash.
In the future.
Yeah, in the future. They hire them in the future, and they get the call. The call in the past.
The mob bosses from the future hire these guys in the past.
Yeah,
right.
Exactly.
To take care of their trash, which are people.
They kill them, they dispose of them, they burn the bodies. But the most interesting thing that is written in this script is, okay, so in order to when he said that time travel is so illegal in the future, they have to get rid of the loopers. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
They have to,
because obviously the loopers are aging and they're moving closer and closer to the future, so there can't be any proof that this is happening. So they, like you said, they've got to kill the loopers.
Yeah, and it's like, it's a sad reality to where if you vol a freaking tear for this type of life, you know exactly when you're gonna die, because they're gonna come in and be like, all right, your time's up, and we're gonna take this gold to your back because this is way more worth than what the silver you got throughout your years, and you're gonna get shot, you're gonna die, and then your younger self gets to live off in the future. And it's kind of like, it's so weird.
But what's interesting about it though is they don't ever explicitly say this, which again I think is super smart, but they give you a reason why someone would be a looper, right? The world, the future world of 2044 or whatever year this was, it's terrible.
Shit.
It's awful, and it looks like because this movie came out in the year 2012. Ryan Johnson was writing this in the midst of the Great Recession. So this is like if the Great Recession never ended and things just went down and down and down, tumble. So like little hints like that you get is they get paid in gold and silver, which don't depreciate like the dollar.
Right.
And the American dollar is gone. It's been replaced with Chinese money. So the world, at least the United States, is in dire straits. So it makes sense that you would be either one, drugged up and coked out of your mind all the time. And two, be a looper. Yeah.
That man, I don't even want. I don't want to put nothing in my body, let alone in my eye socket. Come on, man, it's like acid, literally.
Yeah, it's terrible.
When you have Bruce Willis and you have Joseph Gordon-Levitt, and they're supposed to be playing the same character, did they use prosthetics? You think, or was it?
They did. They used prosthetics around Joseph Gordon-Levitt's eyes to make his eyes look more like Bruce Willis's eyes. Although the end effect, I don't think he looks anything like Bruce Willis. I think he actually looks further away from Bruce Willis than towards Bruce Willis. But again, because the acting is so good, I don't even care. It kind of feels like you get like a third actor. It kind of feels like the person that Joseph Gordon-Levitt is playing feels like some actor you've never seen before. Yeah. Kind of like it reminds me a little bit. This might be a little strange to say, but it reminds me a little bit of Heath Ledger's Joker, where Heath Ledger was so buried under that Joker makeup, where I struggled to see Heath Ledger.
There was only one time that I saw Heath Ledger in that, and that was when Batman and him was in the confession room and stuff. Other than that, when they popped that light back on,
he's gone. Yeah. And it's a similar thing here where I forget sometimes that I'm watching Joseph Gordon-Levitt because again he's under makeup, so he doesn't look like himself, but he also doesn't look like Bruce Willis. He looks like someone new. So and you could tell that Joseph Gordon-Levitt is kind of adapting kind of a Bruce Willis kind of a speech patterns. Yeah, it's a little bit slower, a little bit more deliberate. So I thought he did excellent, amazing. I think he's a great actor.
Jeff Daniels, where they sent him back in time, is basically kind of like to manage these loopers, and I thought that he was the guy with the gun in the hand, Kid Blue from the future.
Yeah, I was kind of suspicious about. I think it's Kid Blue, Boy Blue. I can't remember his name, but anyway, in the movie there is like a loser, and he's like a big joke. Apparently he shot his foot off before the film even started, and everybody has a joke. It's like, oh, be careful, don't shoot your other foot off. And so it's like, because this deals with time travel, I'm like, oh, maybe in the future he turns out to be, like you said, either the mob boss or maybe like a big bad. Maybe he is the big scary rainmaker. I was so sure. I was like, oh, he's clearly the rainmaker. Got it. But no, he's just some loser. He's just some joke.
Yep. We're not gonna give too much. I mean, this movie's been out for years, people. If you haven't seen Looper already, what you doing with your life? But
for real, it's been 9 years, and you've lived a sad 9 years. You haven't seen this movie. Yeah.
Joe, which is Joseph Gordon-Levitt and Bruce Willis, he is faced with the dilemma of he has to come back. He's coming back to the past, and he's gonna die because he is sentenced to die because that's where loopers go. But in his future, people, he has a life. He has a woman who took him out of his drug-ridden days, nursed him back to life like a real good woman does to a junkie, and he was just living a good, comfortable life.
And what's funny about that is his drug-ridden days are the days that Joseph Gordon-Levitt is currently going through.
Exactly.
He's clearly a junkie. He's like fiending for the drugs all the time. So yeah, it's kind of ironic because the cleaned up Bruce Willis goes back in time and looks at his old messed up self, and he's like,
what?
An
He's like,
idiot.
shut up, boy. He kept calling him
Yeah.
that.
Sometimes I think about that. I'm like, if you go back in time and you see yourself, you probably would be really annoying. You're like, oh my God.
I say that now. About
Yeah.
I get to 60 years old, I'd be like, God, you worried about a PS5 and there's no games?
True. No game. Oh, that's gonna be so embarrassing later. It's like I bought a PS5 and held on to it for a year with no games.
So that's what it's gonna be like for me. But Bruce Willis's character, man, he was changed by this woman, and then of course the people come in like the TVA and take everything over.
Right. They accidentally kill his wife. It's a complete accident because she like came up behind them and startled them and they shot her. And so yeah, now he's gone back in the past and he wants to make sure she survives. He wants to ensure that she does not die, and the way that Bruce Willis wants to do that is by killing the Rainmaker, who's the head honcho in the future, but a little child in the past. So he's like, I'm gonna kill the Rainmaker in the crib. Yeah, that way I'll go back to my regular timeline. Poof, gone. I'll go back to my life. Everything will be great. And what's interesting about that is I thought long and hard about like who is the villain in this film, because Joe he's a terrible human. Yeah. His older self is terrible and his younger self is terrible. And so you're like, God, who's the villain? And the answer is, I guess they're both the villain, but older Joe, Bruce Willis's Joe, is clearly the antagonist. And they make that pretty clear when he starts assassinating children. And you're like, oh.
Well, okay, he felt bad about it. He cried when he killed the first one. But
the first one, yeah, exactly.
And
I was never expecting him to do that. Like, there's this great shot of him standing in the doorway. He's got a gun in his hand. He's like, and it's like a little boy. A little boy's like, and you're like, oh my God.
Boy, you about to really find out which way it is in Sesame Street. Boy, you gone.
Yeah, you're right.
Gone. But
so I'm gonna say something that you're not gonna like, but I think that is a testament to how bold Rian Johnson is with his writing and his direction. Because like, I don't think anybody else would do that.
Yeah.
That like murder a child and have you sympathize with the child murderer. Now I know you don't like Rian Johnson because you don't like The Last Jedi.
No,
and I don't understand why. I don't understand why people don't like The Last Jedi. But I think you cannot deny that Rian Johnson is without a doubt one of the most interesting writers and directors working in Hollywood today. And it's so interesting to me that he's like a nerd. He's like you. He's like me. He's just some dude. Right? They let him take charge of these huge projects. And to me, so far, he's like slam dunked them all. I'm like, yo, it's amazing. So I'm a big fan of Rian Johnson. Again, I know you have a.
Look,
I guess what's the opposit of a soft spot?
I have a scorecard, and it's like right now, he's 2 out of 3. So the movies that I've seen, but I'm always.
I respect your opinion, even though it's mostly wrong.
Exactly. Subscribe to the page, okay? So to the channel. So people has been getting powers, and they got these powers of telekinesis, and they thought that everyone would get all these superhero powers, but no, it's only a certain small percentage of people that have these telekinesis powers. And
the powers are lame as hell.
Yeah, they just
it's just like and they wobble. Yeah, it's not even that
with
cool.
With the exception of the Rainmaker. The Rainmaker is Magneto.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. But the thing is, we see the type of power that he had when he was a kid, and when he's a kid, he's on his farm. He's with Emily Blunt, which I did not know was in this film.
Yeah.
And
kicked ass too.
she kind of, and she has this southern accent that Devin and I was talking about before the.
So just take the morning to rest, then you need to get off my farm.
I can't do that.
Get off my farm. This is a Remington 870. One blast could cut you the
Fucking half. Yeah, that's telling. You're holding a gun. I say I'm not afraid, so you describe the gun to me.
Young Joe, Joseph Gordon-Levitt, he calls her on the bluff. He's like, "Yeah, you show me the gun. I'm supposed to be scared,
right?
But you're not gonna shoot me."
Right. It's because Joe is an actual killer, and he's like, "Yeah, I've dealt with killers. As a killer, I know what that looks like at that age." So apparently, Emily Blunt herself had kind of a tumultuous, not childhood, but like teenage years, and that's when she got pregnant with the little boy. And during those years when she was partying up, having a good time, her sister took care of her son, and now her son, he says, but it's pretty clear this is not the case. He says he's confused about who his mother is, but he's really not confused. He's just being a little asshole, and he doesn't want to accept her as his mother. And so to me, I thought that was really interesting because this movie seems to deal a lot with mothers and fathers and the lack of a father, the lack of a mother, and things like that, and what kind of effect that has on a child. Because we know that Joseph Gordon-Levitt, he grew up without his parents, and he grew up to be a terrible shitbag. Yep. And Emily Blunt is afraid that her son will go down a similar path. And you can already see that path lined up for him. But on top of all that, he seems to have some serious rage issues. Which
makes him the Rainmaker.
Exactly.
And that's one of the things that Bruce Willis says. He's like, no one knows how he does this. It's just one man, And if you have the power of Magneto, you can do anything you want. And when I say Magneto, it's not like he's moving metal. It's just no. Let me rephrase that. He has the power of Charles Xavier, and
right, that's a better one. But he's evil like Magneto, so yeah. But see, even then, I think it makes sense that he would rise to become the Rainmaker and take over alone, because technically he didn't do it alone. Old Joe literally killed everyone for the Rainmaker. So he essentially cleared the platform, and so the whole thing is like, again, it's called a looper for a reason. The whole thing moves in a loop, and that Bruce Willis, all his actions were accidentally creating the Rainmaker. If he'd just sat his ass down, nothing would it'd be fine. But no, he's so revenge driven that he creates the Rainmaker.
Yeah, and I'm gonna be honest with you, man. I'm gonna be real honest with you about this Bruce Willis thing. This is the only good Bruce Willis movie that has been done in this decade.
You are right. That's an astute observation. Bruce Willis was there. He was present on set. He had a delivery. He had things to say, and I think that is a testament, probably once again, to Rian Johnson to actually get Bruce Willis alive, because usually he's pretty stoic, and apparently Bruce Willis is also an asshole, and he won't stand in his spot, or he won't look in the right direction. He just does whatever he wants to do. But in this one, you're right, he turns in an excellent performance, and I found myself feeling very sympathetic for him.
I did.
Even though he was clearly a child murderer and a killer and an awful human.
They had to go.
And they went out, boy. They went out.
He saw that one chick that he used to mess with, and it was her son, or was it daughter? It was her daughter.
That
he thought, because he had these 3 locations that was pinned down from the future that when this kid was born. It said July 9th, 2039 or something like that. And it was all born in the same hospital at this time. And one of those kids is the Rainmaker, and it was the girl that he used to mess with. And he was like, dang, I got to kill my ex-girl's kid. Okay.
Yeah, exactly. He hesitates. He's like, oh, man. Oh, well. I was like, oh. Dang.
Has to bring back my wife. I'll do anything.
Yeah, that's right. He was doing anything. It's true. It's true.
But Ryan Johnson, he did a great job with that. I like my directors to have a clear path of what they want to create, the vision that they want to be able to direct with, to hire the right DP for all the lighting and everything that they want, and write original stories, not based upon something that's already been out there in the cultural lore. I just don't like it. Okay. Don't.
But that's the exact opposite criticism that you have for Ryan Johnson. That he actually did something original with Star Wars, the first person to do something original with Star Wars in a long time. And people were upset. People were upset that it was original. They wanted something stale. They wanted the old stuff, the old tunes, the old.
What would have been original for me is if he didn't carry on with Rey. And he didn't carry on with the Skywalker saga, and it was a new batch of people that he had people grow and love. That's what would have been original to me.
Yeah, that's fair, but then that sounds like he might have a problem with Kathleen Kennedy. She was a producer.
Well, she's gone.
Not necessarily with Ryan Johnson.
She is gone now. But yeah, so I'm gonna wrap this up. Great job, Ryan Johnson. I give you your kudos. I enjoyed your movie to the fullest. I'm giving this a I'm gonna be honest. I'm getting this a 10, man.
Damn.
I'm getting this a 10. Right. It's a really good movie, and they did time travel very well. There wasn't any loopholes in Looper, so
in any loopholes, he waved away by saying, no one cares, which I think is just perfect. You're right. No one cares. I too enjoyed this film. For me, this was the first time I'd even heard of Ryan Johnson's name. This was the first time I'd seen anything from him, and I was afraid that he'd be kind of a one-hit wonder type of deal. And for me, he has not. He has proven to be to me one of the bravest, most creative directors working today. So, and to come into something like Star Wars, which he's going to get a lot of heat for unless he plays all the hits, and just dump everything upside down, like, damn, I can't think of another working director who would do that. So kudos to that. I like The Last Jedi, so again, hey, maybe I'm biased or whatever. I think the reason why Star Wars is dead or isn't because of Ryan Johnson. It's because everybody wants the same old hits, the same old thing. I think that's why Star Wars is so boring right now and so dull, and he's the only person willing to give you something new. But I had to get. But anyway, I'm gonna go ahead and give my rating as well. I really like this movie. I liked it a lot back in 2012, and I still like it a lot now. It's held up really well. So I can't give it a 10 though, but I will give it an 8.5. It does lose some marks because this movie does feature women, but it leaves them in like these motherly roles or just shoots them outright, and it's like, damn, that's kind of annoying. But again, because the story is so riveting and so good, I can't help but overlook it because I really enjoyed it. So I give it a strong 8.5.
All right, everyone, that is our review for Looper. I gave it a 10. Devin gave it an 8.5. Go ahead and rent it. Do it. Rent it up. It's a great film. Ryan Johnson did a great job. That's our review for Looper. Hey, and the next movie that's up on the chopping block today is Ryan Reynolds' Free Guy.
Hey, Bud, you ever think that there's got to be more?
More than what?
Okay, I believe this movie is directed by like Sean Levy or Sean something.
Yeah, Sean Levy.
And I think it was supposed to come out in 2020, but the pandemic, it kept it back. And Ryan Reynolds and Eric, because he executive produced this, of course, and they was like, you know what, we're not going to put this out on no streaming service. We're not going to put it on Amazon to be able to buy whatever. People are going to go to the theater to see this, no matter what. And going into this, only thing I knew is that Ryan Reynolds is an NPC in a video game, and then he's like, he gets this awakening that, okay, I want more. Now I went to this movie, I'm like, okay, they have some video game tropes in here. They have the teabagging after you shoot somebody dead when you're playing online and stuff. The thing that I liked about this movie is that Ryan Reynolds is so charming. He can sell anything. You know what I'm saying?
Yep, I agree with you on that. To be blunt, Tyrone, I hate references in movies. I think they are corny. I think they are cheesy. I think it's a lame attempt to, again, to get people like me and you to be like, did you see this? Did you see that? Did you see this? To talk about everything but the film. And so for me, I hated the references, and I was like, can we move the fuck on? But the movie has so much in there, so you kind of have to sit through them. But you are absolutely right. Without Ryan Reynolds, I think this movie, to me, would not work. I think it would be difficult to watch. Yeah. But I actually really enjoyed it. I enjoyed this movie a lot more than I thought I would. Because, again, this just looks like video game reference, the movie. Yeah. And I was ready. I had my popcorn ready. I was ready to throw it at the screen. But
oh, brother, this guy stinks.
Yeah, exactly. But no, it's actually I really enjoyed it. And again, to your point, I think a lot of that is owed to Ryan Reynolds.
It's owed to Ryan Reynolds, and it's owed to Taika Waititi, man. He is the epitome of what EA is.
Is he? He's not like EA. Nah, EA is a bunch of 50-year-old white guys in suits sitting around looking at numbers. They've never played a video game in their life, and they're just cranking out the same game over and over.
But that was his character. He cared about cranking out the same game for money, for gains.
Right. But at least Taika was passionate about it. I feel like EA doesn't give a fuck. EA is so dead-eyed about it. It's like, jeez, how many times going to get the same Madden game over and over and over? Oh my god. Yeah. But yeah, I understand your point. I'm just ragging on EA, really.
EA Sports. It's in the game.
Taika Waititi would do anything to undercut anybody so he can gain money, a monetary gain. If EA, there's these things called microtransactions, or the microtransactions is currency in a game that you have to pay in real world to be able to unlock stuff, instead of like back in the day when Devin and I was playing video games. You go there, you go to a secret lair, you get the cool stuff right there because it's already built inside the game.
Right. The way games are made today is you actually don't get the whole game. The whole game that comes to you, but parts of the game are hidden behind paywall. So you have to pay to access this little thingamajig, you have to pay to access this level. EA is notorious for these paywalls and these microtransactions.
Trash.
And it's super biased towards I'm gonna be blunt. It's super biased towards gamers like you and me who are adults and we can afford to buy this kind of stuff. But for people who are really passionate about the game but may not have that much money, they're kind of SOL. Because you got to pay for parts of the game. Pay extra for parts of the game.
It's crazy.
Which suck.
It's crazy. But back to the movie. Ryan Reynolds, man, all he wants to do is he wants more. And the reason he wants more is because it's built within his algorithm. He is an NPC who can basically, over a period of time, he grows to be like a real artificial intelligence. This movie kind of reminded me a little bit of Lego Movie. At least his character.
Me too. I'm glad you said that. Especially the very beginning. I was like, is this just a Lego Movie retread? Live action Lego movie?
Yeah.
But yeah, I totally, because he was just like some random dude. Just kind of like how the main character in the Lego Movie was like, he was just a guy in the Lego set. Yeah.
But we learned to see that in the real world, Taika Waititi is a person who basically stole the algorithm of how the basis of this game from two people, Joe Corey's character and that girl, I forgot her name. I'm sorry. He stole it from them and put it as the backlining of the game to be able to produce his game, and that's illegal. You can't do that. You can't do that, and people are.
Right. He took the framework of another game and built his game on top of it.
Yeah.
Right.
And
then, of course, he denies it the whole time.
Yeah,
and he tried to hide it and blah, blah, blah.
He had some funny stuff about it where he was saying, when he talked to Joe Curry and he said something about like when they were coming out with Free City 2, and he was like, if I know that someone likes Kentucky Fried Chicken, why would I take him to Albuquerque Turkey?
Albuquerque boiled turkey.
Albuquerque boiled turkey. I was like, what the fuck? I was like,
was this the first movie? It's the first movie I can think of where Taika Waititi is in it, but he didn't direct it.
He didn't direct it or write it.
No, he's just another actor, which is pretty interesting.
Yeah, the references, like you said, yeah, it gets kind of like the WB smash in your face, like Space Jam from time to time.
Oh my god! It like, especially like the end fight, they're just like beating it over your head. I'm not even gonna talk about. I'm gonna stop you. They put him in there so you talk about him, and I'm like, look, there's other things going on in this movie that are way more important than these stupid references, and they frustrate me.
Yeah,
like, go ahead.
Just one thing, people. We all know Disney bought Fox. That's it.
Yeah, Disney is jizzing all over the screen on this one. It's like, I get it. You've got a lot of properties, Disney. I get it. Guess what, though? I don't care. I'm not getting any money from any of these dividends. I don't care. Let's move the story forward. But again, they made it seem kind of charming, and Disney is better at kind of like joking or poking fun at themselves. They're better at it than, say, WB did with Space Jam. So it was annoying, but it wasn't so cloying like with Space Jam where I had a hard time watching the film. The movie, there is an actual story going on here, and there is an actual story with actual stakes and characters that I actually grew to like.
I liked Joe Corey's character. I did like the girl at some point because she was very ambitious about she was the one who was pushing us forward in the beginning about, we got to come up in here. We got to get our game back because I know it's somewhere in there. I just don't know where it is. And basically the blueprint of that game is within Guy, which is Ryan Reynolds' character. But what I didn't like about her, man, is at the very end. I'm not going to tell you what you spoiled it for the end, but I'm just going to talk to you, my brother, is that girls are not that dense when it comes to when a man likes her. Okay.
Yeah. I
was like,
I agree with that. There's
it took you a whole movie to figure this out.
There's like a love story and a love triangle type of thing, and I do agree that is the weakest part of the film. Honestly, I was kind of surprised that it was there in the first place.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's probably it's probably the second weakest. The weakest part is all the references, which I cannot stand.
How did you like Lil Rel's character?
Laurel was pretty good. What's interesting about Laurel is he lost a lot of weight, man. It was great.
Yeah.
I'm like, I was like really cheering for him. I'm like, go ahead, man. I know that's hard. So, and he was really good. And I liked him and Ryan Reynolds. They had a lot of good chemistry together.
I would love to see them in a movie together, like separate from this.
But yeah, I liked Laurel. I liked the characters. I liked how Ryan Reynolds is really good at doing that like aw shucks thing. You know what I mean? Even though he looks like a supermodel, you would think he wouldn't be able to do that kind of thing. So every time he's on film, it catches me off guard at how good he is at it. And this whole movie really rides on that. Mm-hmm. And it kind of reminded me a lot of ironically the Green Lantern, another movie that he was in. Yes. The movie was absolutely a turd, but he put that whole movie on his back and did his best to carry that thing through. And if there was ever a shining moment in that film, it was him. And he did that again in this film, except this is a much better film. So instead of him having to carry the film and drag it like an albatross, instead the whole thing moves together really well. Again, I was quite surprised. I was expecting a train wreck. Yeah. So I actually enjoyed this movie a lot more than I thought I would.
I'm going to go ahead and give my rating on this film. And I'd say because the movie was fun. I'd say because the movie had some funny parts in it. I'd also So that's the positive stuff. The cons of this is would be the stupid love story. It would also be the fact that the product not product placement, but the things that happen in video games that we all know that happens in video games, but it's shoved in our faces all the time. We don't want to see that shoved in our faces all the time, you know? So with that being said, I'm giving this film a 7.5.
7.5. I think that's a great number. That's the number that I would give it to, a 7.5. I enjoyed the movie a lot more than I thought I would. I thought this, again, the commercials did not intrigue me at all. And when they came up and you're like, oh, let's watch Free Guy, I'm like, why? But as a matter of fact, I'm glad I saw it. I thought it was really good. And it gives me a lot of hope for video game movies moving forward, because you know there's going to be a bunch of them moving forward.
Okay.
So it gives me hope for it. So I really enjoyed it. Although I do think you talked about the product placement. There is product placement. That's what all those references are. These things are Disney products, and they are trying to sell you on Disney products. And they even get some Disney actors to be spokesmen for these Disney products. So I did not like that. I'm annoyed by it. But I also know that's going to be a trend that I just got to live with, because I think that's just I think most big movies, they are all going to be big toy commercials. So I guess I gotta set that aside out of my brain. But I actually really enjoyed the movie, so I gave it a very positive 7.5.
Yeah. So those are our ratings, but I have something to say. Okay, I have something to say. I've never done this on Mostly Wrong Opinions, but I really feel like talking about this. If you guys if you guys know the movie review people that's out there, one of the biggest movie review channels is Angry Joe. Angry Joe, you got Little Joe, you got Alex. They're great guys. They're really cool, but something Joe said on his movie review for Free Guy kind of pissed me off, and I hope he sees this. I'm not trying to say this for no clout or try to get, more views to our channel or something like that, but I want to say this to him because I really disagree with his mostly wrong opinion.
And ultimately, I wish Hollywood would put more time into making movies of our favorite franchises rather than about around it, kind of making up fake games and mixing them all together as if they're so scared that none of the individual things that we see in this film could be a movie in its own.
Okay, Angry Joe, are you out of your mind? When I looked at your video, I hope you're watching. I looked at your video and you said that you're tired of Hollywood making movies that is kind of like video game movies, and you want them to concentrate more on making awesome Halo games and awesome God of War games, all this stuff that you want them to make from those IPs. Well, guess what, Joe? They haven't made a good one yet. Why the hell do you expect for them to do good? I don't want them to try at that from making a video game and fuck up a story that's already good in a video game. They have the worst track record when it comes to adapting a video game into a movie. Just like you said, there's no need to. If the game has a great story already there, why make it into a movie? I don't want you to touch any of my video games and make it to a movie because you've been making them into shit. So
yeah, again, I think if you're going to make a video game into a movie, you got to have something to say.
I don't need to see Last of Us on, what is that, HBO Max, because you know what? Last of Us is already a good freaking game. It's already a good story. So yeah, Joe, that was stupid. Okay, Hollywood doesn't need to touch our video games. They don't need to touch our IPs. They need to do exactly what they did with this. Come up with something original based around the world of video games. That's it. Okay, that's it.
I'll be honest, I don't give a rat's ass about Angry Joe. I don't watch the show. I don't care. but I understand what he's saying. And what he's saying is he's saying the thing that, you know, everyone says. Again, I think some people don't even think about what they're saying. They're just repeating things that they hear online. And so people are like, oh, I want the Halo movie. I want this movie. Why? You've got the Halo movie. It's called the Halo video game. So I agree with you. There's no need for it. But
I like Andrew Joe. I love Andrew Joe. Andrew Joe is very passionate.
It's very clear. It's very clear you're a fan because you quoted his catchphrase right back at him.
Yeah.
I couldn't tell you if you put Angry Joe in front of me, couldn't pick him out because I've heard of him, but I don't care. But hey, kudos to.
I just had to let that know, man, because that was just stupid. That's our reviews for today. We'd like to thank you for clicking on this video. Please do us a favor and subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell to stay up to date with everything we do on Mostly Wrong Opinions. All right. Again, my name is Tyrone.
And I'm Devin.
And if you did like this opinion, please do us a favor and hit that like button. If you didn't like it, go ahead and hit that dislike button. Whichever it is your opinion. But just remember one thing: it's mostly wrong. Angry Joe, get out of here. Bye.